it's double-sided, right? When you look at how helpful technology is to the researcher, to the journalist, trying to dig in, trying to find things out, the same applies to the adversary who's trying to prevent them or trying to interfere or trying to find out more about them, right? And then the adversary also has a lot more tools that are either illegal, unethical, or things that are only available perhaps to nation states. And those tend to live in the digital sphere. So we can be talking about, obviously, traditional surveillance techniques, malware campaigns, things of that nature. And so that's why I think digital security today is a must for any investigative journalist. If I had only had 1 hour with a group of journalists, I'd probably complain about how little time I had. But after that, I would focus primarily on, I think, social media, or what we call digital hygiene, privacy literacy, which is essentially how do you, in a short amount of time, teach the basics of what your data, what your personal information looks like on the web, what's publicly available, how to identify it and find it, and then how to essentially protect it to the best you can. The reason I always start with social media, and I say that, which is at the cost of, a lot of popular ideas of like email encryption or secure communications and things like that. And it's not that those aren't important, they are important, but I want to start actually with the basics. And I think all too often people get lost in the weeds when they talk about really specific tools, which are useful, but for specific purposes. And social media safety is actually something that I think is much broader in its application towards all sorts of security, which is to say, no matter what you're working on, if there's an adversary, right? If you're doing journalism that's upsetting somebody, and they're going to try to interfere in some way, the first stop is always going to be social media, right? What can we learn about this individual? What can we learn about this source? And where are we going to find that information out? And then after the adversary has done that work, then they'll begin to come up with a plan on how to interdict, how to interfere with what you're doing, but first they're going to have to collect that information. So we want to take a step back at the very beginning and say, we're not going to make that easy to find. I can't make it impossible, right? Nor are we attempting to be. Nothing is 100%, but we're just trying to make it as difficult as possible in the initial stages.